occupy land along the dam shoreline over the past decade. The Commission says during its probe, the Department of Water and Sanitation's conceded to unfair discrimination in occupancy, although it attributed this to a pre-democracy trend. Commissioner Tsepo Madlingozi.
That's the headline fact, that the Department of Water and Sanitation failed to address the gender and racial disparities.
He says the department breached several provisions of the Promotion of Equality and Unfair Discrimination Act.
Let me be very clear. Unfair discrimination is not only because of commission. The court has been very clear that unfair discrimination also exists where there is omission.
And in China, 4 people, including a firefighter, have died in a blaze at a residential estate in Hong Kong. Police rushed to the scene after receiving multiple reports of people trapped in a building. The blaze was initially classified as a number 1 alarm fire, but quickly raised to number 4 shortly after. In Hong Kong, fires are rated on a scale of 1 to 5, with higher numbers indicating greater severity. The city has been under a red fire danger warning since Monday, which means there is an extremely high risk of fires breaking out. Gold is trading at $4,160.62 an ounce. The rand is at 17.16 to the dollar, 22.61 to the pound, 19.87 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.48 a barrel.
Heading in and out of the Joburg CBD, we still have slow-moving traffic on Main Reef Road, between Anderson and Naswick Road. Also bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is in the Calvin Alex area due to roadworks on the N3 southbound between the Butlu Interchange and London Road.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with isolated showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 25 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, suspected criminal kingpin Vusimuzi Katmatala has taken Parliament's ad hoc committee through the various business ventures that he is involved in.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to 702 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. Yes, interesting times with Kat Makala speaking at the commission. 9 children! 9 children! Where do you get the time, yeah? Yeah, it's a lot, but we'll hear more on that from EWN, and of course, I'm sure the afternoon drive show with John Pullman will be picking up on that too. Coming up on the show today, we are going to be asking of you if you have ever been in a relationship that ended before it ended. And it can be a relationship with a friend, a romantic partner. It could even be a marriage. It could even be a friendship or a relationship with family members. I want to hear from you on that. We're going to be chatting to the National Lotteries Commission, the NLC. They're hosting a national Indaba, so we'll be joined by the National Lotteries Commissioner, Ms. Jody Scholz, for that conversation. 15 minutes to 2 o'clock, it'll be our finance feature where we talk about the affordability myth for personal financial advice in South Africa. Very important conversation. Rory Brackner will be joining us, founder of Dosh Guide. And then we wrap up with our masterclass on psychosomatics. We'll be joined by Melissa Davids, who's a counselor registered with the HPCSA, that's the Health Professionals Council of South Africa, and we find out all about psychosomatics. So get in touch with us. Give us a call, 011 883 0702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702
SMS Relebogile.
on 31702.
Okay, we are having this conversation, and let me tell you where it stems from. I stumbled upon a post on Instagram that was introducing us to this topic called silent divorce. And what they say is couples end up in a situation where they no longer feel an attachment to the other person, but they just continue the marriage. And it can be for a number of different reasons. Sometimes it's for convenience sake or financial reasons. Sometimes they don't know any other life than that marriage. So in this case of a silent divorce, it's when you're not even legally separated, but you're just kind of not present. You're not there. And I know that many women and men will attest to the fact that even there's a song called When a Woman's Fed Up, where they're like, a woman is just done, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, they'll say a woman will have the ability to move on in the relationship long before it's done. So that by the time the man or the other party comes around, you've kind of like just, you've moved on. There's nothing that person can do or say. Or you find yourself in I've been in a situation where, I was so in love with this person, and I am the kind of person who, in relationships, like, I will tick every love language box. I want to be thoughtful. I want to be all of these things. But after a period of time, I was like, why do I feel like I'm initiating everything? Why do I feel like I'm the one who's planning fun dates? Who's this? And then one day, I didn't even notice it happen. But one day, he suddenly came around after I was like, you know what? Like, we should call it quits if maybe you're not that into me. Maybe I love you more than you love me. And that's also okay. Let's call it quits. And he was like, no. So now he suddenly started making effort. He suddenly knew my favorite flowers. He suddenly knew my favorite restaurant. He was now getting ready to take me on dates. And I realized when it was happening, like, I feel like I'm supposed to be feeling something, but I'm feeling nothing. So at that time, it wasn't something I consciously was like, okay, just move on and stick around. No, it was just done. And I think even he could tell how, like, you wanted all these things, but you're still not happy. And I guess, my colleague Karabojali was saying, sometimes when you cry about certain things and then you don't get them, and then eventually you get them, or the person does those things. Now you feel like, are you doing it because I was about to leave you? Are you doing it because I complained? Are you doing it because you genuinely want to, from your heart of hearts, like, actually see me happy and loved and cared for and all those things? So when I hear from all of you, because this does not just apply in romantic relationships, it can happen in friendships as well, where you find yourself sitting with a friend or talking to someone or reaching out to them and being like, how? I'm the only one here. So this friendship ended before it actually ended. It wasn't necessarily an event where, like, okay, you see that an event takes place where things come to an end. Let's say you catch a person cheating and you say, I'm done. It is very clear. Now, I want to hear from all of you on that. Give us a call, 011 883 0702, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella,
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Have you contacted people outside of government structures to try and understand what's happening? Because they're colleagues of yours, like Tutuzile Zuma Sambula. Do you think you can seek clarity from her as a committee?
This is a very serious matter in as far as the law of South Africa is concerned. So we can't adopt some informal processes because we know each other. So it's not going to work that way unless herself she volunteers clarity. We We will stick to the institutional arrangements to deal with this matter, not on the basis of you knowing me and vice versa.
Okay.
We're
should
expecting her
we-
in the meeting tomorrow.
Great. Maybe she can also answer some questions as well.
We hope so.
Supra Mahomapelo is the Portfolio Committee Chair on International Relations and Cooperation.
Clements Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
The roads are mean, but the Peugeot Landtrek is meaner. Peugeot's two teams are battling it out on the roughest dirt tracks in Mzansi. Who's leading the Most Dirt Wins Challenge? Tune in on Prime Media Plus every Monday, new episode to find out. Because when it comes to off-road dominance, the Landtrek isn't just tough, it's pretty tough. Visit peugeot.co.za for all the action.
Team, summer is game time in Mzansi. Every tap, scan, swipe, it all adds up. And FNB is giving us big rewards, partner deals, e-bucks, defense tips, and chances to score experiences money can't buy. But you're only in the game if you pay with FNB. So stay sharp, spend clever, and let's dominate. Get in the game with FNB. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. NCRCP 20. T's and C's, earn rules and limits apply.
Dad, can you pass me the thing?
The thing? Which thing? The one on the desk or the one in the car?
No, the thing. The small one. The thingamabob.
Ah, the thingamajig.
Yes, that's it.
Stop speaking in thingy. At Redford House Schools, we teach clarity, precision, and the confidence to earn your voice. Shape your future best self. Search Redford House Schools online. An inspired school.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
You know what success looks like. Now discover why focus is the driving force behind every success story. Catch 702 in conversation with Momentum on The Money Show with Stephen Grootes every Thursday, discussing the science of success. Step into the mindset of top financial achievers and discover how your thinking, behavior, and focus can shape lasting financial success. That's 702 in conversation with Momentum. Thursdays on The Money Show with Stephen Grootes. Momentum, your journey to success on 702. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
18 minutes after 1 o'clock, and we're talking about those relationships that end before they've ended. Not just romantic ones, not even just marriage. It could be friendships, it could be family. 011 8830702, the WhatsApp line 0727021702. And maybe also share with us, was it something intentional when you were moving on? And we know that it would be different in scenarios of domestic violence, where in the case of domestic violence, the victim might need to plan out, because the time where it is high risk for a victim is when they are trying to leave a perpetrator of domestic violence. And maybe if that is your story and you feel like you want to share, you are more than welcome to do so as well. And you're also free to be anonymous, because relationships and leaving them can also be dangerous at times, not just complicated, where a person really, really has to be mentally ready and in the right place without formally saying, it's over, I don't want to be with you anymore. Like, they need to be ready so that they never come back to a situation that is not healthy for them and a situation that is not working for them. 011 8830702 in the WhatsApp line 0727021702. Clayton says, my relationship with money seems like it ended before I was born. Clayton Skawara, the beauty. about that is it can change at any time, hey? That can change at any time. Cyrus says, yes, partners who give you STIs and act like they did nothing wrong, I usually stop sleeping with them and act cold until they leave. How? Why are you not just ending things? I'm so curious about that one. Why are you not just ending things? Yo, that didn't even come to my mind. Whew. Debbie says, yes, it ended 2 years before the actual breakup. And this is then my question to everybody, where it ended before it ended. Is it something you were consciously and fully aware of? Or is it something kind of like my situation where only later you're like, I know I'm supposed to feel something, but I'm not feeling anything. Like, what happens in that time? Are you planning? Are you, slowly detaching yourself emotionally, where you stop even asking the person for the things that you want? Which one is it? Angela says, "O re nyaka ditaba," as in you want stories from us. Re shebile December, no. Tseo re ka di bona ka January, saying you want stories from us. We are busy looking at December at the moment. Those will see them in January. In essence, if I am to convert what this person is saying is, no, it's too complicated to be doing breakups now. Study breakup next year. I genuinely believe there are people who are like that, don't you think so? Where they'll sit and say, I want to break up with this person now. But December. And then January. I must at least suffer with somebody and then they'll break up with you afterwards. Just yesterday, she left me and I'm so heartbroken. I cannot even sleep at night. She cries of the age gap, 7 years. This is Anonymous in Kempton Park. Anonymous, I have to ask you a question because as the person who was left, and maybe you as a person who's done the leaving can help here, but as the person who's been left, are you surprised that they have left? Or my kids, do you feel like it came out of nowhere? Or is it something that you feel like, to be honest, Relebogile, this was coming. It was on the way to the end. This person was asking and asking. I wasn't ready, whatever it was they were asking for. Do you genuinely feel like it came, like you were blindsided? Let's go to the lines. Mike Hare in Boksburg. Hi.
Hi, babes. How are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
Ooh, now we're not Relebogile. Now I was married, ne? And then my husband was abusive. I see honesty. I see, I mean, like, when we were dating, he was fine. He was good. He was, the first time I flew, he bought me an air ticket.
Yes.
Let me tell you. And then I heard things, I saw things, I did what, and you know what? I started doing my countdown. And I love that man so much. If there's any man that I loved on this SKO, and I never got married again. I don't want to live a life of comparison. So, I got guys. I maybe a change of environment will make a change in behavior. Nothing happened. So I luckily, but I don't know. I would say luckily for my sake. My mother was ill. My mother took ill. I walked up to him. I'm telling you.
So you left knowing it was the last time.
I'll come back after a week. Let me just see my mother. With that humble bo. If you believe you don't know me. You look at the humbleness, you don't know this woman. Ka paka ausi ka paka ka tsamaya haisale up to this day. He even died. I went to bury him.
What?
Yeah, boo.
So you walked out that day. You didn't say it's over.
I never said bye. The last kiss he gave me on the Kipalambe base, yeah, lyriking, yeah, translate.
Yeah.
Hey, railway.
The fact that you're saying Buputa Tswana, we know it was a while ago.
Exactly.
Sure. And
then guess what? Come invite, please come to my house.
Wait, how far later was this?
Like 15 years later.
Yes.
1990, yes. I left him, 83, I think, yeah. So, come invite. I think right. My aim was, I didn't. Okay, I planned to walk out on him, but I had reasons. So, okay, come. Let us. I want us to. I want to explain to you, as if I'm the wrong one, ne? But I was not the wrong one. I said to him, I want to explain to you why I walked out on you. I actually, whatever the word is. Yeah. So I left him. Kajula, I'm a professional woman. I worked, and then I bought myself a house. I had 2 kids now with another man. And I introduced him, said, I've got children.
Sure.
And I've got the children, and imagine my child, Lena, my child and my husband, my child from my husband was a stillborn child, a boy.
Sure.
And then I saw, I don't know, maybe it's a myth, it's a belief, it's a what. Maybe the marriage was not supposed to be. Anyway, I don't know.
Did his family ever ask you?
Not at all.
So they never got in touch.
No, I did. You know what happened, man? He wrote me a letter, told me that he has divorced me. I guess he didn't have a father anymore. I sent the letter to. My father advised me to make a copy of the letter, send it to the oldest brother. When I did that, and then sometime later, I had something. I had to go to where they live, and then, but not for them. Possibly happens to be born in that province. So I went via the older brother. And then I explained everything to him. He said, no, he says he has divorced me. He was still, in fact, he was deported from Buputa.
My Kari, you have been through so much, but at the same time, in a situation like that, I cannot even begin to blame or judge. And thank you so much for sharing your story. We've got your voice notes coming through on 072 702 1702.
Hello. I was married for 18 years. I was one of the girl's first boyfriends when we first got involved. She was quite a bit younger than me. And for many years, I think, probably the last 8 years of that, she was having affairs with other people. And eventually I had one. So, yeah, I know exactly what your program's about. It was 2 people living in the same house until eventually I just said, we're just wasting time here.
Hello, Australian team. Well, I'm facing the exact situation currently. Me and the mother of my kids, we've broken up before, and then she tried to reach out that we sort out things, which we did, but the same cycle is repeating itself. Nothing has changed, and even now there's no checking up on each other like we used to. There's no texting. There's only unless it's something that has to do with the kids. So I feel like it's over once again.
Hi, Gile. I was friends with this guy for more than 20 years. We grew up together. We were talking on and off. I knew that he was happily married and they had a problem with the wife. And so, he was telling me everything that he was going through. So I don't know what happened the other day, our talks, and then we ended up in bed together. And then I was in love with him, but he was not. Our relationship lasted for about 3 weeks. And ever since, even today, I don't know what happened. He doesn't want to talk to me. He doesn't he hates me. I don't know for what. I keep on asking, what did I do? Because we were friends for so long. What happened? Oh, I'm still struggling. Anonymous from Snake Park.
Yo, Anonymous. If I understand you correctly, you're saying he said he's unhappily married. He doesn't hate you. He just is not leaving his wife. From what I can understand, he's not leaving his wife. Yo, I'm sorry, hey? I'm really, really sorry. Yo, time for the news. We continue when we come back. It's just after 1:30. Time for your latest Outness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. A very good afternoon. Suspected criminal kingpin Vusimuzi Matlala has taken Parliament's ad hoc committee through the various business ventures he is involved in. Matlala is appearing before the committee today following attempts by his legal team to delay his testimony. The committee probing allegations of police corruption is sitting at the Hoshimamburu prison where Matlala is awaiting trial. Parliament is set to lay a criminal complaint against former Road Accident Fund Chief Executive Officer Collins Letsoalo. Letsoalo is accused of snubbing an inquiry into financial maladministration at the fund for a second day. During an interview on the SABC program Face the Nation last night, Letsoalo referred to the inquiry as a kangaroo court. And trade unions in India are staging nationwide protests against new labour codes. Demonstrations are being held in several parts of the country in response to the implementation of long-awaited labour laws. These will replace outdated legislation and simplify confusing regulations. Those are the headlines this EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading towards Bedford View, this is coming from the Edenvale area, slow-moving traffic, R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange. We still have those roadworks in the Calvin area on the N3 southbound between the Butlu interchange and London Road, slowing down traffic. If you're leaving the Joburg CBD, expect some delays on Main Reef Road between Anderson and Nazareth Road. Also, slow-moving traffic, that's in the Four Ways area on Winnie Mandela Drive between Witkoppen and the N1 pulls off. Also expect some delays on Witkoppen Road between Main and Stonehaven. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
4 suspects, including a judge and a leader of a well-known church, are expected to appear in the Pretoria Serious Commercial Crimes Court this morning. They were arrested on charges of corruption and money laundering during an operation conducted last night.
Yesterday's arrests follow serious allegations of corruption involving attempts to influence a civil case currently before the High Court in Pretoria. The matter apparently relates to a well-known South African church embroiled in a long-standing succession dispute.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
South Africa is taking its place on the world stage at the B20 and G20 Summits 2025. Telkom is proud to stand with the nation, building a digital future that reaches every community through reliable fiber, mobile and cloud networks. Telkom is connecting families, small businesses and young people to new opportunities. They're helping drive digital public infrastructure so services are easier to access for all. Telkom, the digital backbone of South Africa's future.
Black Friday weekend is now on at Checkers. Save up to 50% on deals like Omo Laundry Liquid Detergent 1.5 and 2 litres or capsules. 14 per pack, any for 59 Rand. Jacob's Kronning Instant Coffee 200 grams, any 2 for 219 Rand. Save 161 Rand. And a Platinum Digital Air Fryer 5 litre for 599 Rand. Save 200 Rand. Deals valid until Sunday, 30 November 2025. Only at Checkers and Checkers Hyper. In-store only.
Your ABSA Visa card is rubbing its hands and getting ready for this Black Friday. That blender that gets your smoothie right can be yours. Your favorite sneakers, yours. That 65-inch TV, say less. You could get up to 100% real cash back depending on your rewards tier on Black Friday and Cyber Monday when you pay with your digital wallet or shop online using your ABSA Visa card at selected rewards partners. Valid 24 November to 1 December. Your story matters. ABSA. T's and C's apply. ABSA's an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
The Dial-A-Bed Black Friday sale is now on with 20% off absolutely everything. Start Black Friday shopping today and save thousands on all our best brands. 40 Winks, Sealy, Simmons, Dunlop King Coil in all sizes, all less 20% and all ready for fast delivery. Dial-A-Bed, sleep for life. Now reopened in the Park Meadows Centre opposite Eastgate Mall.
In a world where markets move fast, confidence isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Prime XBT is empowering a new generation of traders with a next-level trading experience that puts control back where it belongs, in your hands. Catch 702 in conversation with Prime XBT this week on The Money Show with Stephen Grootes, unpacking their seamless integrated trading platform. Discover how they're redefining what's possible for traders through knowledge, cutting-edge technology, and trust. Don't miss it. Prime XBT, empowering traders to succeed on 702. Trade responsibly. Trading comes with risk.
WhatsApp Relebogile on 072 702 1702.
24 minutes to 2 o'clock, and we're taking your calls on 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. We are having a conversation around relationships that have ended before they've actually ended, not just romantic ones, not just marriages, could be family, could be friends. What were the circumstances? Is it something you did intentionally, or did you just find yourself and wake up one day and realize I'm no longer here? I want to hear from all of you. On Facebook, excuse me, Soweto Ism says, some definitely yes, just because we opened our mouths, as in having been in those relationships. Another person says, hi Relebogile, mine and my friend ended last week. When she calls, she borrows money. No, I can't take this friendship anymore. So that was the end of the friendship, hey? Where you're like, I can't anymore. We have more of your voice notes coming through on 072 702 1702. But first, we go to the lines. Thabo in Winchester Hills. Hi, Thabo.
Hey, this topic, you know, my marriage is in trouble. It is in trouble. I've been married for 33 years. I've been with this woman for 40 years.
Yeah.
Suddenly, 2 years back, things are changed. Ona le moya, ona le badimo. Kira, motho modimo, ona le moya le batho ona le moya. A go batla kerekeng ya apostol. I said, okay, it's fine. If you feel comfortable, you can do so. A motho group ke o sa kenya dintho mo matsohong o re yena wa thwasa o etsa bo profeta o etsa le bongata. It's really this thing ya to believe a konthonse tsa badimo messed up my marriage. At the moment ompolella gore ke mozolo nna ke mo pedi nna. Our marriage is not recognized ke badimo tshwantse ke mo tshele ka nyoko.
How?
Yes. But we can't do that. When we got married in 1992, re amogetse ra hlaba ra exchange dintho ntho tse jwa. Ha re tshele ka nyoko rona. Then ke yo motho wa nyamalla o kenya di different colors mo yena. Ke re ka Mother's Day this year, the lady 10, she disappeared. I switched the phone off. Aya ke ko ha ba ke yo motho nyamalletse. a gutla the following day o gutla le faile a robetse ko metsing ana le mo profeta o a mo thwatsisang wa mail, and when I get, it's not a South African, that person. My marriage is in a mess. After this, suddenly I can't touch. We sleep in the same bed. I can't touch her. I can't do anything. And don't tshwarisa, can I protection order against me? Or now can I stop her in practicing her belief she was granted? Or it is a mess. It is a mess.
So let me ask you this, Thabo, because your situation sounds so complicated, ne?
Definitely.
Do you still love her? Would you like the marriage to still work?
I still want the marriage to work.
Does she still love you?
You know, in the family, they friends to talk to us. We failed. She's failing. She's failing to accept on condition that I must accept this calling high, Jenny high, which I don't know.
Yes.
And the people who are assisting her, she's hiding those people.
Yo, Thabo, I don't want to abandon this ship of you sharing this experience to say that you're married 40 years with someone is no small feat, but also if she's going through some kind of traditional calling, spiritual calling, and she's figuring those things out, it will complicate things because she's not the same person that you married and you're not the same man that she married. But the reason I was asking the question to say, do you still love each other and do you still want to be married to each other? That at least is a start. But if one person says, I no longer want to be married to this person, then it's a different story altogether. And I'm going to just take your details. I'm passing you back to our producers, Thabo. Let's see what kind of support can be had here, because I really, that is a tough situation. Let's quickly go to your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Good day, Relebogile. So, Kiten Kotem. Also, I can tell you that matters of the heart are really mystery. Yeah, really mystery. But love is good. It's a good thing if it's real. Yeah, because some people will love you because you have something. Then when that something is not there, then they be gone. That's just reality. Yeah, that's all I can say. Daniel Kotema. Shapowski Relebogile.
Hey Relebogile, this is Kevin from Tutuza. I just want to comment today about the topic that you are raising. Wow. I have to say, wow, this topic is very, very deep. Hey? It's very, very deep. And a lot of people are dealing with a lot of things when it comes to this kind of situation. But have you noticed that we kind of love toxic people more? Like we're really, really like into toxic people more than like loving the right people. I think this kind of problem or these kind of situations comes from us loving the wrong people. Sharp, this is given from Tutuza.
So many situations that people are finding themselves in. I really have no words. And I'm seeing messages on the WhatsApp line saying, Thabo's situation is the worst I've heard. 40 years is not something you just walk away from easily. I will have a conversation with my producer. Let's see how we can assist in that situation. But thank you for your calls, your messages, and your WhatsApps.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
What is the legal framework of all of this? I would have thought in the summons process, if you don't get a summons, you could always offer arguments in mitigation. But is it not a legal offense to deliberately send people to an abandoned house?
It's potentially misleading.
to the committee to put an address where you don't stay, because you're supposed to put your what is called domicilium etandi, which is your main residence where your legal notices may be delivered. Parliament doesn't use the power of a summons easily.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
Don't forget, one day to go before the Gallagher, Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger Black Friday sale. Shop premium styles from Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger this weekend only. Starting tomorrow, Thursday the 27th of November till Sunday the 30th of November at the Gallagher Convention Centre in Midrand. First come, first to style.
Mr. Govender, congrats on the retirement. You just sold your car to We Buy Cars. Tell us about it.
Yes, it just gathered dust in the garage, so I exchanged it for cold hard cash. Now my wife and I can enjoy a stress-free retirement.
Retiring the car as you retire. Nice. So why We Buy Cars?
It was so quick. They came over to our house to do the evaluation, and we sold it the same day. Tops, man.
Okay, so now you got even more time on your hands, eh?
Exactly.
We Buy Cars. Geared for your next chapter. Geared for you.
Enjoy the thrill of the Soccer Punches Challenge, Weekend Edition, an all-new platform from Hollywood Bets. You stand a chance to win a share of the 5 million rand jackpot when you bet 5 rand or more on selected EPL matches over the weekend and correctly predict 10 out of 10 winning margins. Or chase the share of the 50,000 rand leaderboard prize. Entry is free. Let this soccer season bring sizzling success. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
14 minutes to 2 o'clock, and we are going to chat about the National Indaba. And this conversation is brought to you by the National Lotteries Commission. And we are joined by National Lotteries Commissioner, Ms. Jody Scholz, to tell us all about it. Jody, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Relebogile, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Please do fill us in. What is this National Indaba all about?
Thank you. So the National Lotteries Commission has a dual mandate. The first aspect is we regulate the national lotteries, sports pools, and other lotteries. And the second one is our grant funding mandate, where we use a portion of the funds that we get from the national operator and we disperse those for good causes. So the Indaba is merging both of those. Yesterday we had our regulatory roundtable, and there we were discussing what are best practices within South Africa, what are some trends, what are some challenges, both in South Africa and internationally. And one of the big themes that came out yesterday was the proliferation of illegal gambling and lottery operators. And so fortunately we had some of our strategic partners also in the room with us, the National Consumer Commission, and we've then resolved out of that we need to have a task team in place to address and see how we can address these, obviously with other government players as well.
I'm so glad that you're bringing that up, because there have been so many cries and complaints around the different gambling entities. Can you maybe share with our listeners on what the possible way forward is going to look like in this regard?
So in terms of gambling, well, we regulate the national lottery. It is a form it's seen as a form of gambling. It is part of what they call the fun economy. But however, in South Africa, we are very mindful that there is a huge burden of individuals, because many people live below the poverty line. So this heightens concerns about excessive play, gambling addiction, and exploitation of very vulnerable groups. So enforcement actions must work a lot more effectively together. And that was, how we've kind of summed up some of the actions that we need to do. Obviously, there are quite a few detailed actions. Some of the calls yesterday were around geo-blocking, which means you find a way to block some of these illegal sites. So these are matters that we'll table in this forum.
Okay, so now when we look at the fact the NLC obtained an unqualified audit for the 2024-2025 financial year, please explain what exactly that means.
So that effectively means that we've been able to clear some of the big findings that the Auditor General has found. You know, when I took over in 2023, I think the audit it wasn't a good opinion, and so we've had to look at what those findings are. A lot of them related to how we disperse grants. A lot of it is around non-compliant grantees. So, for instance, grantees don't get 3 quotes, and because we've then paid those, we then get a compliance finding because we are not then in compliance with the PFMA and our legislation. So the audit, I think it testifies to the enormous amount of work that the management team have absolutely put in. I mean, we've been able to reduce our regular expenditure, for instance, from 44.9 million to 6.8 million. The 6.8 million relates to legacy contracts that we obviously can't cancel because it has a big impact on how we operate. And so, other key areas have been our wasteful expenditure. It's decreased from about 118,000 to 35,000. So we're looking at all of these big areas and seeing how we can make continuous improvements and actually change the landscape internally.
We understand that on the 25th, there was the regulatory roundtable session. What were the objectives and outcomes of that?
Thanks. I had alluded to that earlier. This is just in terms of bringing together regulatory best practice or most appropriate practice for South Africa, bringing in other regulators under the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, this umbrella, to talk about how we regulate the lottery, but then also how can we tackle these illicit and illegal lottery operators and gambling. And so the objective was to share, to understand challenges, but then also to identify areas that we could put a stake in the ground and move forward, and that would be then the program of work.
And then finally, I mean, where will these resolutions from the Indaba be publicized so that we can also be able to see them?
Thanks. So today and tomorrow, we've got, I think, about 1,600 NPOs, NPCs, civil society, faith-based organizations here at Birchwood. And we're breaking into commissions to talk about these very issues around things around sustainability, things around compliance, things around what our funding focus areas should be. And the intention is once we've gotten these resolutions, we will publish that on our website.
Jody, thank you so much for coming to chat to us, and we look forward to catching up again to find out more about the work that the National Lotteries Commission is doing and all of the things that they are achieving.
Finance Feature.
8 minutes to 2 o'clock. Time for our finance feature. We're joined by Rory Brackner, founder of Dosh Guide, as we talk about the affordability myth for personal financial advice in South Africa. Audible 1-883-0702 in the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. Rory, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Lebo. Great to be here.
What is that myth? And I would assume that people think that you really have to be like having 4 Lamborghinis before you can have somebody coming through to give you personal financial advice.
I think that's exactly it. I think there's this sort of idea that a financial advisor is for wealthy people. That's not something that I can really afford or have access to. And to be honest, it's kind of true in a way, because really professional financial advisors, properly qualified ones, are really only interested in working with clients who have a significant amount of investable assets, that's not most of us, right? Most of us are paying off our home loans and don't necessarily have a whole bunch of assets to hand over to the financial advisor in order for them to earn their fees. And so it's just, to a certain extent, it's just not really feasible for a lot of people to get professional financial advice.
Tell us about how, because I know that there was a study by UNISA's Bureau for Market Research that only 9% of South African households make use of a professional or certified financial advisor. Does this match, in your view, in relation to sort of the percentage when we look at middle class and up, or do you think it's even significantly less than what it should be if those that are middle income earners were to be included in the mix?
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds directionally about right. I think what I think people need to understand is the difference between a professional financial advisor or planner and somebody who's a salesperson who's distributing a product. I think a lot of people, maybe earlier in their life, in their 20s and 30s, when they don't have a lot of assets or complexity, tend to be dealing with salespeople. These are not career financial planners with a whole bunch of studying behind their qualification. These are people that are distributing financial products, and sort of their fees are built into the products that they're selling or distributing. Kind of like life insurance, for example, is one that often people are selling, right? But when we talk about, I guess, professional advice, which that study maybe is referring to, that sounds about right. It's actually only a small portion of people that have access to a proper, not a salesperson, but a proper financial planner who's not just distributing products, but actually looking at to improve your financial well-being and to really get into the details of understanding how to move you forward in terms of your financial life.
And I think that that's quite a critical thing, and especially with what you're saying. So where would you say South Africans, and maybe you can just give an example of how everyday spending habits could actually just cover that cost of a financial planner?
Yeah, so I think if we're talking about the category of an actual professional advisor, where I think there's a bit of a misconception that financial advice should be free. In many other areas of our life, we are willing to pay for a professional like a doctor or a personal trainer to help us, and there's like a fee, an hourly fee or a monthly fee, some sort of consultation fee. But in the financial advice world, it's kind of gotten a little bit that doesn't actually necessarily apply. People think it's free, and the reason why is because the way that the compensation model works is all around connected to distributing of products, right? And so it's that sort of misconception, I guess, that's kind of headed people in the wrong direction.
Thank you. Just in terms of clarifying that, because I think also, like you said, the brokers taking on the title of financial advisor, but they're not actually advising you on financing. They are selling you products. What would you say the level of income needs to be or savings a person should be having to be getting advice?
Well, yeah, I think so. If you think about like maybe the daily coffee habit that like a bunch of us would have, where we're spending, 30, 40 Rand on a coffee, and it's multiple times per week, and that sort of adds up through the month, and it could be as much as 500, 1,000 Rand per month. I think that's probably about a reasonable amount to be paying for a professional. And I'm talking about not just a salesperson, but an actual professional who's going to be hand-holding you through making all the strategic decisions in your financial life and being your co-pilot on that course. And sometimes their advice can be, you don't need to do anything. You're actually on track. You don't need any new products or new life insurance or a new retirement annuity. That's often the advice that a salesperson would be giving you, but actually you just need to stay the course and keep doing the things you're doing. You're actually on the right track. That could be really good advice, but sometimes it's difficult to know that and get that perspective when you aren't a financial professional yourself. It's good to get that sort of outside perspective, but not muddied by somebody who's trying to sell a product in the process.
So if somebody's listening and they're like, actually, I do need financial advice, what is the first step that you say they should take?
Yeah, so I'd say self-educating is probably the first step you should take. So take an interest in the subject, just like we take an interest in our health, right? To a certain extent, you are responsible for your financial decisions. And so, watching stuff on YouTube, reading books, there's just so much great content out there. But if you do decide, okay, I need a financial advisor, I need a professional, I've gotten to a point, I've done a whole bunch of homework myself, I've learned a whole bunch of stuff, but actually there's some critical things now that I need a professional to weigh in on. What I'd say is to understand the type of financial advisor that you're looking into. And so there's a new category that's emerging in South Africa called a flat fee financial advisor, and that's the one that we represent at Dosh Guide. And those financial advisors aren't selling products. They're not salespeople. They're paid on a consultation basis, in our case, on a monthly subscription.
And I think that is what will assist many people. Rory, thank you for your time. For those of you that want to get in touch, doshguide.co.za.
Standard Bank and 702 have joined forces to bring you China Unlocked.
As much as we love our wine in South Africa, it is relatively unknown in the Chinese market. A show like Pro Wine Shanghai gives us the opportunity to educate more of the Chinese market around South African wines and elevate the knowledge around South African wines and grow our exports of wines. And this year, for the first time, as you had mentioned, we took part in Food and Hospitality China. This is more tailored for the finished products or agro-processed products such as rooibos and also other products that you can source directly from South Africa.
Don't miss China Unlocked on 702 Drive with John Perlman. Tuesdays on 702. Brought to you by Standard Bank Business and Commercial, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
You are not dreaming. You are repeating. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
As an FSCA-regulated broker, Prime XBT gives you the confidence to trade market volatility your way. Enjoy low trading fees, advanced tools across crypto futures and CFDs, and VIP discounts of up to 70% available to new traders. Take advantage of free deposits and withdrawals with crypto options and local South African payment methods. Prime XBT, empowering traders to succeed. Trade responsibly. Trading comes with risk.
When you train for results, you don't quit halfway. Stay on the growth track and earn up to 7.87% interest at maturity with a 12-month electronic fixed deposit account. Lock in for maximum growth and enjoy guaranteed returns without monthly fees. Hashtag Get Money Fit with Nedbank. Visit nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
This Eyewitness News is brought to you by Checkers, the home of Black Friday, where you can save up to 50% this weekend.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Lamini. Let's begin with news just in. Corruption-accused High Court Judge Portia Patlane has been granted bail by the Specialized Commercial Crimes Court. Patlane, who sits on the bench in the Pretoria High Court, is accused of receiving bribes of more than 2 million rand from the leader of the Jerusalem faction of the International Pentecostal Holiness Church, Michael Sandlana. Sandlana and Patlane's son Kagiso are also amongst the accused, as well as another co-accused, Vusi Ndala. The court has granted Patlane, his son and Ndala bail, but prosecutors have asked for a postponement in order to address Sandlana's bail application. To this now, suspected criminal kingpin Vusimuzi Matlala is taking Parliament's ad hoc committee through the various business ventures he is involved in. Matlala has been appearing before the committee today following attempts by his legal team to delay his testimony. The committee, probing allegations of police corruption, is sitting at the Hoshimamburu prison today, where Matlala is awaiting trial. He was arrested in connection with the attempted murder of his ex-girlfriend. Matlala has been named by various previous witnesses as allegedly having an influence over police operational matters. He is also accused of scoring tenders through his high-level political connections. One of those tenders was a 360 million rand police health services contract, which was later cancelled because it was not properly awarded.
I only resigned from Medicare as a director, but I still own shares, 100% shares of Medicare. But the rest, I resigned completely. I don't have any control over them.
Now, we're going to deal with the Medicare 24 Tshwane district because that's the entity that applied for or that bid or tendered for the Medicare contract, the SAPS contract.
Parliament is set to lay a criminal complaint against former Road Accident Fund Chief Executive Officer Collins Letswalo. This is for snubbing an inquiry into financial maladministration at the fund for a second day. During an interview on the SABC program Face the Nation last night, Letswalo referred to the inquiry as a kangaroo court. The Standing Committee on Public Accounts will now ask the National Assembly Speaker to concur with its decision that Letswalo face consequences for ignoring a summons to appear. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Parliament has never before acted against someone who has ignored a summons to appear before a committee. Today, Scopa moved its meeting online to allow for a last-minute change of heart by Collins Letswalo to give testimony on financial matters related to his tenure at the RAF in the event he was unable to travel to Cape Town. While the MK Party and EFF have appeared hesitant to take further steps against him, questioning the process to be followed, the ANC, DA and Action SA say a criminal complaint must be laid. Parliamentary legal advisor Fatima Ibrahim has advised the committee to follow through on the non-compliance.
You have a duty to conduct this oversight. You've undertaken to do it in this manner. And then to summons and simply ignore thereafter not only sets a bad precedent, but it calls into question whether the committee is then doing what it lawfully ought to be doing.
Committee Chairperson Zongezo Zibi says he will now write to the Speaker to inform her of the committee's decision and to request that she acts accordingly. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The Ukrainian government has admitted it has foreign fighters in its army, but it says, unlike Russia, they were not manipulated to join it. Kyiv's statement comes on the back of claims by 17 South African men who say they were duped by the Umkhonto we Sizwe party to fight for Russia in its ongoing conflict with the Ukraine. Tabiso Koba reports.
The conflict between Russia and Ukraine has been described as a proxy war, representing multiple interests that stretch beyond the two countries. This is also played out in the battlefield, with Russia having fighters from a number of African countries and North Korea. Ukraine's military ombudsperson, Olga Reshitlova, says they've also been forced to get outside help.
Unfortunately, we don't have so many resources as Russians have. So many of those who joined Ukrainian defense forces are people who share our values.
EWN understands a majority of the foreign soldiers fighting for Ukraine are from European Union countries where mercenary activities are illegal. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
The South African Human Rights Commission has found failures to address long-standing racial and gender inequalities and land lease allocations around Hartbeespoort Dam. It follows a complaint from the Hartbeespoort Dam Development Initiative claiming that black applicants have faced both historic and ongoing exclusion. According to the complaint, only 2 black applicants were awarded rights to occupy land along the dam's shoreline over the past decade. The Commission says during its investigation, the Department of Water and Sanitation conceded to unfair discrimination in occupancy, although it attributed this to a pre-democracy trend. Commissioner Tsepo Madlingozi.
That's the headline fact that the Department of Water and Sanitation failed to address the gender and racial disparities.
He says the department breached several provisions of the Promotion of Equality and Unfair Discrimination Act.
Let me be very clear. Unfair discrimination is not only because of commission. The court has been very clear that unfair discrimination also exists where there is omission.
Gold is trading at $4,160.68 an ounce. The rand is at 17.18 to the dollar, 22.63 to the pound, 19.84 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $62.48 a barrel.
Heading into the Joburg CBD, expect about a 20-minute delay. That's in the Amalgam Crown North area on Main Reef Road between Nasrec and Anderson. Also bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's in the Polshof area on Witkoppen Road between Main and Stonehaven. In the Calvin Alex area, roadwork still causing heavy delays on the N3 in both directions between London Road and the Butlu interchange.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with isolated showers and thunder showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 25 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN, corruption-accused High Court Judge Portia Pahlane has been granted bail by the Specialized Commercial Crimes Court.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Checkers has issued a nationwide Black Friday announcement with savings of up to 50%. From everyday groceries to top tech, appliances, and so much more, the deal making waves countrywide is Jacob's Cronin Instant Coffee 200 grams, any two for 219 Rand. Save 161 Rand. So grab your extra savings card and make the most of these massive savings in store only while stocks last. Checkers, the home of Black Friday.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Ten minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 702 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. We're going to be jumping into a masterclass on psychosomatics this hour. Get in touch with us, 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Masterclass.
Time for our masterclass for today, and I'm so looking forward to this conversation with counsellor registered with the HPCSA, that's the Health Professions Council of South Africa, Melissa Davids. And this masterclass is on psychosomatics. All your comments and questions on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. And joining us is Melissa Davids for this conversation. Melissa, welcome to the show. Hi, Melissa. Melissa, just check you are not on mute on your side. Okay, let's see what we can do. We are going to do our best to get Melissa on the line. Let us take a break. Oh, Melissa, hello? Okay, let's take a break. And when we come back, we will continue.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS LEGAL to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The Dial-A-Bed Black Friday sale is now on with 20% off absolutely everything. Start Black Friday shopping today and save thousands on all our best brands. 40 Winks, Sealy, Simmons, Dunlopillow, King Coil, in all sizes, all less 20% and all ready for fast delivery. Dial-A-Bed, sleep for life. Now reopened in the Park Meadows Centre opposite Eastgate Mall.
Live your best hoop life with Hollywood Bets. Bring your big game energy to the court as we welcome a thrilling new NBA season. Bet 50 Rand or more on any basketball fixture, and you could score a share of 250,000 Rand in cash or an epic NBA shopping spree. Bounce into blistering action. Your ultimate slam dunk moment awaits. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings Weekdays at 6.
You suggest South Africa has the money. It's all about where the money flows. And from what you say, the money that we have has not been going into investments for the future, particularly for poorer people.
There's plenty of money building up, in particular in the private sector, which is not being invested in fixed assets, in particular infrastructure. And so the challenge is, how does that funding get unlocked?
Professor Mark Swilling.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Invested in your story and inviting you to write it with them. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
Masterclass.
All right, we try again 14 minutes after 2 o'clock. Our masterclass for today is on psychosomatics, and we're joined by Counsellor Melissa Davids for the conversation. 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line 072-7021-702. Melissa, welcome to the show. Hi, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much for joining us, Melissa. Let's jump straight into what psychosomatics is all about.
Perfect. I'm so excited for this topic. It's a good topic. I just want to share that today we'll be talking about everybody that is listening. We'll be looking at how we can understand psychosomatics. We'll also look at how emotions and stress influence your thought life, as well as how to regulate your body and your mind as well. So also looking at how we can create daily patterns to support us. So if we're looking at what is psychosomatics, the definition of psychosomatics is the interdisciplinary field exploring how psychological emotions, behavioral and social factors influence bodily processes and physical health. So there's certain psychosomatic disorders as well, and that is your physical illnesses or symptoms that are caused or worsened by psychological stress, emotional distress or mental conflict.
So
and
when we say
sorry, did you want to say something?
When we say psychosomatics, then we are referring to obviously that relationship between the mind and the body.
Yes, now I was getting to that.
Okay, we're having a conversation. So yeah, I know that there's a bit of a delay because we're chatting to you on Zoom. So you might hear me a few seconds later.
No problem. So as you said, it's definitely the relationship between the body and the mind. So it's your thought life that obviously affects your emotions, and then your emotions affect your nervous system's responses, and your nervous system responses affect your body's reaction, and your body's reaction affect your behavior, and your behavior then reinforce your thought pattern, and that's how the loop is created with your mind affecting your body.
Okay, and I think it's quite important because
go.
We all are aware, and I think we don't realize how intense it is, that the body will start to feel the effects of things that might not be resolved or tended to in your mind. So you can be sitting with things in your mind and it starts to manifest in your body.
Definitely, because our mind is a thermostat for our body. And what I mean when I say that is a thermostat controls the temperature in the room, right? It detects changes, it sends signals and adjusts the environment to keep things balanced. And our mind does that, the same work for our bodies. So our mind is a thermostat for our bodies.
So why is this such an important practice? And can you maybe share with us a little bit as to when it started to come into play of psychosomatics? Because we always understood that, okay, there is the psychology part or the counseling part, but it's not many people who actually go for a consultation where we try and see how both things come together. I mean, I've heard of people who'll say, the GP couldn't find anything wrong with me. The specialist couldn't find anything wrong with me. So they sent me to the psychologist who sent me to a psychiatrist. And that's when my things got solved.
No, definitely. I think for the longest time, when something is wrong with us physically, we automatically assume that it's a physician type of ailment, that we need to go to a doctor. I think for the longest time we've been separating our body and our mind, even though we learn about it, we've been seeing about it. And in the last couple of years, I would say probably in the last maybe 10 to 15 years, that's where attention is now getting. We're really clamping down. And I must say for the last 5 years, it's been a lot of attention on how psychosomatics affect us, so it's definitely making its rounds. But what happens or why this is now taking such an important topic is because there's something called the fight or flight mode, right? When our body is in a state of emergency. And I think for the longest time, us as people, we've become so normalized with this fight or flight mode, where we thought that it's almost like a badge of honor for you to operate in survival mode. So that's why we don't think that there's anything wrong with us mentally, or our mind is at risk before the way that our body is responding, because we don't know what the fight or flight mode does to our body. And ultimately, that's our body's emergency mode, right? So it's supposed to be switched on when there's a danger. It's like when you're revving the engine of your car to the red light. It's fine for a moment, but if you do it for 3 hours straight, something in your car will blow. And the same is for your body. If your body is constantly in fight or flight mode, your brain thinks something is threatening it without you telling it, but your body is speaking to you. And it tells your body, listen, there's an emergency. And how we can pick that up is sometimes, like you said, the symptoms we go to the doctor for is we find that our heart beats faster, right? We find that our muscles are starting to tense up. Your breathing is starting to speed up, and your body pumps out stress hormones like the adrenaline and the cortisol, which is good hormones, but only for a short while. It shouldn't be consistently in that mode.
I actually wanted to share with you how we even got to this particular masterclass for the show. And I stumbled upon this conversation that a woman was having, Melissa, where she was explaining specifically what happens to a woman's body if she doesn't cry for 3 months. And she was saying that we live in a world that teaches women to be strong, to smile when their soul is tired, to keep going even when everything inside them screams to stop. But when you don't cry for months, something starts to shift inside you. The body quietly takes over what the heart refuses to release. The liver becomes heavy from unprocessed emotions. The heart beats faster and tighter, as if it's trying to protect you from breaking. Your stomach twists and turns. Your digestion becomes unpredictable. The neck stiffens. Shoulders ache. The back carries all the weight you never let out in tears.
Definitely. That's what it means when, I don't know if you heard the saying, that our body keeps score. That's what it means. That's when our body keeps score, because even though we think that we are continuing because we're no longer in that situation and we just continue with life as we know it, our body stores up all that tense emotions, all that strong emotions. And if it continues in this state, then your organs can no longer function as per normal. So you are slowly but surely getting to a point where you are easily getting sick. And that's why our immune system can't fight flu easily. And that's why we get sick sometimes quickly, because our immune system is weak, because our organs are weak, because we haven't dealt with unresolved things, unresolved trauma sometimes.
Can we briefly chat about, and I know the example was from the perspective of a woman, but I can only imagine what men experience in their bodies. Can you maybe share with us why crying in the world of psychosomatics is so important? Why that release is important?
So I think it's a good question also, because November also puts emphasis on men's mental health. And I know there's a saying in society that men don't cry, but what that does is we start storing up that emotions. Men store that up, and for a very long time you become angry, you become bitter with that stored emotions. And when your body can't feel that release, your body stays in high cortisol level that can cause body aches, headaches, and as I said, lower your immune system. And you struggle to sleep at night, or you are wide awake and it's like your brain can't shut off. So what happens is you become anxious. There's burnout, emotional numbness. You're not able to apply empathy to people. So if you store up your emotions for so long and there isn't a release, a psychological release, also crying is a form of release. I know these people, and maybe privately, that are listening, after you've had a good cry, you feel much better. It's
Oh,
not because of just the
listen, you must
tears, it's
schedule
because
that
of the
cry.
body.
Schedule
Yeah.
the cry in. I always say schedule it in. It sounds weird, but schedule it in. And I mean, what happens in the case of gents and men who society has not yet normalized men crying? I think with social media, more and more men are starting to see one another doing it and are becoming more comfortable with it. But considering what happens in men's bodies and the testosterone and all of those things, can we maybe speak briefly to men specifically?
Yes, we definitely can. So what happens is there's a high level of testosterone that stays, your body needs balanced hormones. So what happens if you don't cry, your testosterone then it increases and you become so aggravated and angry, as I said, and it gets steered in the wrong direction. If you're never being told how you need to manage your emotions, it comes back to knowing how to regulate your emotions. If you don't know how to regulate your emotions, then you end up storing all that anger, and you start lashing out on different things. Because if you don't know that your body needs a balance, then you end up becoming imbalanced because of that. So it's very important for us, as if there's any males listening, that they need to set aside time and start normalizing this, break the stigma of crying, and it's not showing that you are weak, because it takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable. And so that is something that we need to understand, is looking at crying as a form of vulnerability as well. And to be vulnerable takes a lot of strength.
So if there is a person listening who can relate to some of the things that you're describing, where they are recognizing the physical symptoms that you've touched on, but they have not yet made that connection, what are the 1, 2, or 3 questions that you think a person could be asking themselves? I'm so glad that when we were in primary school, our English teacher would make us do this exercise where we'd lay on the floor before we started, and she'd say, like, wriggle your toes and like relax your toes, wriggle your feet, and she'd go through the body. And it's only now that I've gotten older to understand what the point of that exercise was just touching base with yourself, kind of being like, hey, what am I feeling? What's happening in my body? But also not realizing the connection to the mind and the soul and the spirit and all of those other things.
No, definitely. We need to, that's why emotional regulation is so important. And that's what your teacher was doing. She was aligning your mind with your body, so that when you respond to particular situations that happen, there isn't an outer body experience. You were regulating your emotions. Something that we can do is, remember, our brains work with patterns. So we have to identify our patterns. So we can ask ourselves, when does it get worse? Like, when do I feel that my symptoms are getting worse, which means my heart rate, my headaches, sweaty palms? When am I noticing that it's getting worse? What emotion is present at that particular time? Can I name the emotion that is present at that particular time? And what thought comes before the emotion? And what is my body trying to tell me? Because you are checking in. I call it like identifying your pattern, because we operate as human beings by patterns. So it's important for us to recognize the pattern that we are operating in so that we can change. There's not going to be any change if there's no identifying of a pattern. And I always say this, before we can break a cycle of something, we need to break the pattern. So if you're constantly in survival mode, that's a cycle, but it was created with a pattern. So now you have to identify the pattern so that you can renew that and change the way you've been operating.
We are going to be heading to the news shortly, but I want to hear from all of you if there's anything that resonates with this conversation where the things going on internally are starting to manifest in your body. They're starting to manifest physically, and we have the perfect person who is with us, Melissa Davids, on this masterclass around psychosomatics. And also share your comments with us and give us a call for your questions on 011 883 0702 and our WhatsApp line 072 702 702. I'll also make sure I head over to the 702 page on Facebook. You can also find us on X. It's 2:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. A very good afternoon. Controversial businessman Vusimuzi Kat Matlala has denied any role in the Tembisa Hospital corruption case. Matlala says his company only provided the hospital with requests for quotations. He has been testifying before Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is investigating allegations of police corruption. The committee is holding its hearings at the Hoshimampuru Correctional Facility this week to accommodate Matlala, who is awaiting trial at that prison. In the courts, corruption-accused High Court Judge Portia Pahlane has been granted bail by the Specialized Commercial Crimes Court. Pahlane, who sits on the bench in the Pretoria High Court, is accused of receiving bribes of more than 2 million rand from the leader of the Jerusalem faction of the International Pentecostal Holiness Church, Michael Sandlana. And trade unions in India are staging nationwide protests against new labour codes. Demonstrations are being held in several parts of the country in response to the implementation of long-awaited labour laws. These will replace outdated legislation and simplify confusing regulation. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in Midrand, heading towards Centurion, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N1 northbound between Allendale and Samrand, also traveling towards Germiston. We still have those roadworks in the Kelvin Alex area on the N3 southbound, causing about a 20-minute delay between the Batlu interchange and London Road. If you're heading into the Joburg CBD, actually heading in and out of the Joburg CBD, you can expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on Main Reef Road between Anderson and the M2. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's if you're traveling through four ways on Winnie Mandela Drive between Witkoppen and the N1. And look out for those faulty traffic lights in the Poleshof area at Witkoppen and Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
It's amazing what Help can do. Help can take you from smart money moves to smart gadgets and household must-haves. With an FNB Premier Credit or Fusion card, get up to 40% back in e-bucks on devices and appliances. Open any FNB Premier account today, celebrating 25 years of helping you live the Premier life. FNB, help changes everything. TC's own rules apply while stocks last. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Click season is different from any other ho. Oh? Yes, here's why. Mix and match any 3 festive gifts with a purple sticker.
Oh.
And get the lowest one free.
Oh.
With the famous Clicks Purple Sticker promotion. It's oh. Only at Clicks. Feel good, pay less. Deals valid until 24 December or while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. with John Perlman. John, how are you doing today?
Yes, doing well, thanks. Good afternoon to you. Hope you're well too, and good afternoon to all our listeners.
I am well. Interesting things coming from Kat Matlala. The 9 children, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I mean, I'm not able to watch all of it because, which is a little bit frustrating because there's no great drama. It's piece by piece by piece by piece, question and answer, and where there is things that I consider significant or revelation, they don't just come out in one big bang.
Yes.
You know, it's layer upon layer upon layer. But it's fascinating, and we're going to be looking at that in detail after 5 o'clock.
All right, what's coming up on your show today?
So apart from that, Relebogile, there's been a proposal that online gambling should be taxed at 20%. We'll get a response to that from somebody who is involved with what they call responsible online gambling. We'll have that conversation at about 10 minutes past 4.
Sorry, question, as in your winnings or the gambling company?
No, the gambling companies.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
their
I
turnover.
get you, I get you.
No, I mean, it's enough of a gamble to just gamble, to then get hit with 20% tax. I don't know if there is tax on like lotto winnings. I've no idea. Good question there that I must remember to ask people. Our colleague Tapiso Goba has been in Ukraine. We're going to be chatting to him. He's got some very interesting stories to tell, and that's going to be step one in some stuff he's going to be doing on the station over a couple of days. So he'll tell us about that as well. Court case involving a High Court judge and the International Pentecostal Holiness Church. A corruption matter. I believe that the judge, Portia Patlane, has just got bail. Khumotso Modise is watching that story, and she'll give us an update on that. And then in our weekly feature, Minding Your Money, Black Friday. How do you navigate your way through the smoke and the mist and the numbers that may not make as much sense later as they seem to make now?
And, you know, I've seen many Americans, just because we know Black Friday kind of started there.
Yeah.
Their Black Friday would be like something that's $200 is now like $5.
Right.
It was not like, 15% off. It was like drastic.
Yes.
So when it came here, it wasn't as drastic as the US, but now it's not even that great. And I mean, I know I said Wendy Nola yesterday, but another person where what the retailers do is they use these tricks of like, was 1,999, now 1,999. And then you just, the mind and all the tricks that get played, or you realize that whatever their now price is was always the price. They just hike it up a few weeks before Black Friday. So you think it went down. So there's tricks. We have to be definitely tuning into that conversation.
Absolutely. And maybe it could say, was 1,999, now 1,998. But before you click, answer this question.
Oh my
Do you really need it?
That's the question.
Do you really want it?
Also, please, can you guys discount groceries? We don't need any more flat screen
That's
TVs.
what's happening. Listen, the retailers must do what the retailers do. They're in the business. Our business, as you very rightly point out, is think, read, research, click.
There we go.
Or log off.
Log off. 702 Drive with John Pullman coming up from 3 to 6 p.m.
702
Masterclass.
We continue at 23 minutes to 3 o'clock in our masterclass for today, and we are talking psychosomatics with Melissa Davids, counselor registered with the Health Professions Council of South Africa. And in our conversation, we really have been chatting about that relationship of our minds and our bodies and how deeply connected they are, where the psychological factors that can actually manifest into physical symptoms from all of the stress. So it can be things like your heart beating faster. It can be things like tension in your shoulders. It can be many other things as well. Fatigue, high blood pressure, skin problems. So I want to hear from all of you. Get in touch with us. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Melissa, have we reached a point yet where it is easy to diagnose and recognize the source of what a person is experiencing physically? And I'm not sure if this is the case with everybody, but generally, when a person goes to a GP and they share their symptoms, I haven't experienced it quite in detail yet, but I don't imagine that GPs will kind of get into the depths of where you are psychologically. if your symptoms seem like, oh, 1 + 1 = 2, therefore I'm prescribing this?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we have gotten better, but I think there's definitely more work that we can do. And I think just for our practitioners, medical practitioners, mental health practitioners, to know that we should work in a multidisciplinary team. What that means is a group of professionals. So, for an example, if somebody comes to you with a physical symptom, and maybe you can pick up, or through conversation as you're asking them questions, to obviously prescribe the medication, because you can't, like you said, 1 + 1 can equal 2, but you always ask questions. Usually doctors ask questions, practitioners ask questions when people come in. And so when you do pick up that this person has perhaps maybe been overworked, or they haven't taken an off day in a while during your consultation, so the consultation needs to be, I would say, maybe more thorough, so that we can welcome other practitioners, because psychosomatics, it doesn't deny that there's physical illnesses, but we need to acknowledge that emotions, stress, and psychological state can influence your physical health. So it's just knowing that it's not always what it seems, that it can be broad, and it's always good to just have the person say, maybe you want to check in with a counselor, maybe you should check in with a psychologist. It's not always that it's just medical.
In an ideal world, Melissa, what would the questions, or what should the questions be that are asked when a person goes to the doctor with physical symptoms, like some of the ones that we've chatted about? And I think some of them can be a lot more obvious than others, like, anxiety, for example. Seems like a natural thing to try to connect it to, okay, what else is going on in your life? And maybe you'll say, I lost my mother a year ago, and you can kind of say, okay, 1 + 1 = 2. But some of the symptoms are not necessarily something you'd naturally quickly say, because maybe you're going to the physio and there's this knot in your shoulder. But in an ideal world, if a person is going to that first medical professional, the GP, what would the questions be that they also ask, so that they're looking at it from the holistic perspective?
I definitely think one of the questions could be, has there been any life-altering transitions in your life recently? If I look at somebody that comes to the doctor perhaps for eczema, right? Automatically you think eczema is a skin disease. But the trigger for eczema could also be stress. So when you reduce the stress, then the eczema can also be reduced. So asking about life-altering events, asking about transitions, asking about when was the last time you maybe implemented self-care, which is something that medical practitioners also get taught about as well. So when last have you taken a break from work? What is your working hours? It sounds like mundane things, but those are actually indicators that can tell you, because if somebody hasn't taken off for a while and works X amount of hours without taking a break, even one simple thing, do you take your lunch break at work religiously? That sounds like a small question, but if somebody's always working and never taking their lunch break, the risk is that they're putting their body in overdrive. So they might be in fight or flight mode, and that could be the reason why there is an increased level of stress. So I would say those questions are good to ask.
And I know they also sometimes ask the things like, how has your eating been?
Yes,
or appetite,
yes.
or rapid weight loss or weight gain.
Definitely, the weight it plays a huge role, because what you put in comes out, So whatever you put into your body, whether that be emotions, the environment, but also with food as well. So usually we sometimes focus on the diet, and I think that's common questions that practitioners ask, as with regards to the diet, but they don't ask about what environments you may be in and how negativity can affect you and the atmosphere that you're in. So we don't ask about that, but sometimes somebody can eat healthy, have a toxic work environment, and still have stress and still get psychosomatic symptoms.
What are some of the symptoms that a person might not notice until it's really bad, because maybe they're sort of operating in semi-survival mode or adrenaline mode?
So one of the common symptoms is sometimes we have headaches, but because we have maybe a stressful work environment, or maybe we have toddlers running around at home and we're a student, or both, all three of those circumstances, if you cannot operate, this is an indicator for me that I always use in practice. If you can no longer do your day-to-day activities the way you used to do, then that should be a red flag for you. So that can be in the form of constant headaches. It could be in the form of neck tension that doesn't go away. It could be in the form of stomach issues, feeling like there's a knot in your stomach. Also, when you start reducing your, for example, you maybe don't shower as often as you would, you skip meals, you are no longer showing up the way you used to, your self-care, the way you portray yourself, that has been reduced. Like you just wear whatever, you grab whatever, you take whatever. There isn't a plan, there isn't a system. So your day-to-day operations is now being affected. And when you can no longer show up like you used to, that's a good indicator for you to take a step back and reflect and ask yourself, am I okay? What is going on? Are there things affecting me, and why can I no longer function the way I used to?
The one that I think possibly gets quite overlooked because it's becoming more and more common is the one of I'm tired. I mean, I'm sure many of us joke about like adulthood is just complaining about being tired the whole time.
Yeah.
At what point is it, oh, you're just tired, and at what point is it fatigue?
So if it's over a long period of time, because I know we have seasons of tiredness, like for example, now you will hear people are talking about like end of year fatigue, so we're feeling that because we've been working whole year, and maybe some people weren't able to take leave. But when we know that we are heading into potentially being burnt out is when there's been a prolonged period of stress. There's been a prolonged period. So you're not just tired because lack of sleep or all of those things. Sometimes there's psychological things that's playing on your mind because it's been a long year. There's been transitions throughout the year. There's been wins, there's been losses, and oftentimes we don't process that. So when you're not processing what you're going through and you're not living mindfully, being aware of your subconscious thoughts, you're not able to change that pattern. So it's very important to note that if it's over a long period of time, then you need to go and seek help. When I say a long period of time is when you're constantly tired. If you can catch your thought, when somebody asks you how you're doing, the first word that comes out of your mouth is, I'm tired, and then everything else, that's a good indicator because now your language has changed as well. So, and then however we talk to ourselves, whatever we tell ourselves, that's how we start operating. In psychology, we call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so if you are constantly telling yourself you are tired, and you don't do anything about it, your body starts to respond to that, and it creates patterns where you live that tiredness. So then you stay in that cycle of tiredness. But if we can catch our thoughts, we can change our patterns.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, all your questions are coming through 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
You've heard the songs, but until you've seen it live, you haven't experienced the magic of Cats. Coming to Monte Casino from 17 January until 22 February, it's the memory shared by millions. Book now at Web Tickets. Brought to you by Peter Turin and GWB Entertainment.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actis-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
As an FSCA regulated broker, Prime XBT gives you the confidence to trade market volatility your way. Enjoy low trading fees, advanced tools across crypto futures and CFDs, and VIP discounts of up to 70% available to new traders. Take advantage of free deposits and withdrawals with crypto options and local South African payment methods. Prime XBT, empowering traders to succeed. Trade responsibly. Trading comes with risk.
702.
Masterclass.
11 minutes to 3 o'clock. We continue with our master class on psychosomatics with Melissa Davids, a registered counselor. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. And we go to the questions. Here's our first voice note.
Hi, Relebogile. Great topic. So I have a question there. I've been experiencing similar symptoms, I got a new job and then I found out it's not what I wanted. And then even school-wise, it's not going very well. So I've developed a lot of neck tension, and my immune system is not so great. And I've had like blood tests that show everything is clear, but my neck tension is still there. So I just wanted to know, is it that common also?
Yo, Melissa?
Yes. Oh man, that definitely sounds like it is stress because there was an expectation. The expectation wasn't met, so it sounds like there's a bit of disappointment, and that disappointment obviously festering could definitely affect. So the neck tension could definitely be a reason why you're experiencing that. I would, based on what you shared, I would definitely say that there is a reason why you're experiencing that neck tension, and that stress of what you thought it would be and it's not is stored in your body.
We've got another voice note.
Hi there, it's Ben in Kensington. Here's a nice little hack for managers or family members that want to know if their colleagues are on psychosomatics. People's eyes shudder. It's part of this, that your guest will know what it's called. You have these jerky movements, and if you have them very slightly, your eyes shudder. I have that. I know it because when I see my eyes shudder, and I've seen it in other people, it's a side effect. Thanks for the great show. Ciao.
Wow. I didn't know about that, Melissa. What is this eyes shuddering thing?
That's actually very interesting, and not a lot of people have that. And I think there's more, like our bodies respond so differently to trauma and to stress, that it's like a rapid eye movement. Sometimes you find that your eyes twitch. It's like a twitch that happens. It's called jerky eye movement, right? So you have these jerky or rapid uncontrolled eye movement, and there's multiple causes for that. And as I said, one of it could be when you are experiencing stress as well. So there's brief twitching all around the eye, and then there's also when your eyes are jumping or skipping, and this can come from the eye muscles, neurological system, which is also stress related when tension is also stored in your body as well. So again, it speaks to that fight or flight activation. Your body is telling you that you are in danger.
Oh, Thomas in Johannesburg says, Relebogile, I'm all for men, especially men of color, to be more plugged in and aware of their emotions. It's sad for me to say, but I'd advise men not to cry in front of women or in front of their significant others. The only reason I say this is that both men and women haven't normalized and aren't ready to see men openly crying. Often men crying is seen as a weakness by both men and women, and then crying is weaponized against men. Men need safe spaces to let their emotions out without being physical. Thomas, I'm not sure I agree with you, because I think many women are actually very empathetic. And I think many men will surprise you as well, and they have those abilities. So we're not going to normalize it by you not crying in front of people. Obviously, timing and place, and you know where your safe spaces are. But normalizing it means that let you seeing your father cry for the first time not be at like his mom's funeral or things like that. Pick the safe spaces where it's appropriate to do so. Another person says, would this also cause lifestyle diseases like high blood pressure and diabetes?
Yes, it definitely has an impact on that. It can definitely affect that. And that's why checking in with your medical practitioner, with a counselor, working together with a multidisciplinary team is important. Before I answer that question, I just want to say with the safe spaces of the men, it's important for you to have a conversation with your partner, with your husband, with your wife. You guys have that conversation where you speak about how do you manage emotions. When you go into a relationship, it's very important to have an open conversation, like you would talk about your work. Where do you work? What's your favorite color? What do you like for dinner? Have you been to therapy? Should be part of that. How has your parents dealt with emotions? How were you raised dealing with emotions? Were you taught to cry, or how were you taught? It's important to have that conversation so that you don't get a shock when you go into a relationship, because it doesn't help to say don't cry in front of your wife, or don't cry in front of your significant other, because what you are doing is then you're putting up a mask. Then you're not being the real you. And then what happens when you put up that mask, you're going to have to pretend and constantly keep that facade up. And in the back end, you are then telling yourself that this is not a psychological safe space, which means even if you're in a relationship for 5 years, you'll be in survival mode in that relationship, because psychologically you can never be safe with that person.
Sure. More of the messages. One says, is this related to adrenal fatigue? I've experienced stress for many years, which resulted in my body just not taking it anymore. My body would literally shut down and go into deep sleep, lost my fight or flight senses, brain fog, and many other symptoms.
Definitely, that's a person that's been in a high stress environment for a very, very long time. Because remember, when you are stressed, your body's releasing your adrenaline, it's releasing that adrenal hormone, it's releasing cortisol. So if you stay like that for a very long time, what's happening? Your body is slowly shutting down. And that's why some people go for adrenal injections. If they're feeling burnt out or they're feeling stressed, they go to the doctor and they go and get an adrenal shot, and that kind of revives you and helps you to stay, alert. And so that person, whoever sent that message, I would highly encourage you to please go for some counseling so that you are able to regulate your emotions, and then also work with a practitioner so that you can get your hormonal balances up again, and you can get your responses to stress back again, because this could have long-term effects on your organs.
Yeah, especially when it comes to things like burnout. I have heard of people that it takes months for them to recover. We have another voice note.
Hi there, Relebogile. It's David speaking. So, my ex-partner, from the age of 18 up until 55, is still complaining that she's tired, and she was diagnosed or self-diagnosed with yappy flu, or ME. Is it a real thing, or is that psychosomatic? Because she will always work a half a day and then sleep until 6 from 12 o'clock, and then eat supper and then go back to sleep, and then repeat. If you could kindly advise. Thank you, and have an awesome day. David, Orange Grove.
Thanks, David.
I would suggest that that person also goes to check in with a mental health practitioner, but then also with a medical practitioner, because it could also be related to low iron levels. Sometimes when we have low iron levels, it does affect how tired we are or how we show up. And it's not because I'm a counselor that I'm just suggesting counseling, but we were taught in a generation where we don't process our emotions. We don't talk about how we feel. We don't deal with our emotions. So as a result, as I said, our body then ends up keeping score and our body gets tired. We need to learn to process our emotions and also find out what is the underlying issue. Sometimes also having a routine can help. Maybe having a healthy routine with incorporating movement to revitalize you, to regenerate your body as well. We need to incorporate movement in our body to keep our blood circulation pumping and to keep our blood going. So I would say looking at your routine, maybe doing a check-in with a mental health practitioner as well as a doctor, and looking at having a routine, because micro wellness things, I like to call it micro wellness moments, but incorporating those, your breathing, movement, staying hydrated, and checking your hormone levels is very important.
Melissa, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time on today's masterclass on psychosomatics.
Part of the 702 family.
Hi, my name is Mbalenhle Felicity Ngubane, and I'm from Johannesburg. I'm staying in Malaysia currently. 702 helped me through my depression, my divorce, COVID. So I'm very, very happy that 702 helped me through all of those years. And I'm still going to continue listening to you guys from the morning to the evening. And yeah, thank you, 702.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
The National Lotteries Commission, also known as the NLC, is hosting a national indaba to provide feedback on successes, challenges, and improvement. Resolutions will be publicized post the event. For more information, visit the NLC website at nlcsa.org.za. Follow them on Facebook. Search National Lotteries Commission on X at SA_NLC, on Instagram at SA_NLC. Send them an email at nldtf@nlcsa.org.za or call them on 0800 6538.
Okay, a bold new marketing strategy, placing customers' details on product reviews. You're doing the scammers' job for them.
Yeah, the testimonials look great. Customers seem happy.
Sure, and scammers too. With customers' details, they can open accounts, take loans, the works.
So instead of making customers happy, I made scammers happy?
Scams can happen to anyone. Stay alert, and if you're unsure, contact ABSA on 0860 557 557.